Hey, what's up everyone? Foxhounder N313 here. Alright, so a lot of people out there in the media have gotten their hands on the Nintendo Switch. A lot of impressions, early impressions out there, and you can expect reviews and stuff like that to come this week. Those of us average Joes and Joannes out here in the world are still having to wait just 6 more days from the time I'm recording this. It's almost midnight, so I can almost say 5 days. But I thought, you know what? Let's talk about games for once. I'm always talking about features and things like that, and those are important. But what is more important is the games. That kind of goes without saying. And it's kind of a cliche thing to say at this point, but it still holds true. Now, what I want to do today is run down 5 games that I would like to see brought over to the Switch. Whether these, in some cases, these are ports. In some cases, these would be new iterations. And I'm focusing on third-party games here because with the first-party stuff, I expect every single Nintendo franchise to show up on the Switch, from Metroid to Mario to Pokemon, Fire Emblem, the whole shebang. And a lot of these we already have confirmed. But I want to focus on the third-party games. Now, we don't know how great the third-party support is going to be yet, and especially for Western developers. With the Japanese, it seems like it's going to be pretty strong. With Western developers, we'll really have to wait until E3 and see what they have to show. So, that's up in the air right now. But, so yeah, let's get into the list. 5 games I would like to see brought over to the Switch. At number 5, Fallout 4. Now, this is a fantastic game. I have it on the PlayStation 4. I'm maybe halfway through it. I'm trying to do all the quests that I can. I want to try to go for the Platinum, which is going to take me a while. But it's a really great game, and it's one of my favorite games this generation. If they brought it over to the Switch, I would jump on it in a heartbeat just to be able to play it on the go. And hopefully Skyrim does well enough to where Bethesda will want to continue to support the Switch. Now, there would be definitely a graphical downgrade going from the PS4 and Xbox One to the Switch. That goes without saying. I'm fine with that. I have the PS4 version, so if I want the quote-unquote definitive version or whatever, I've got that, which it's not the definitive version, that would be PC, but I would like to have the portability. I'd like to take the game on the go because you could constantly be making progress on it, which is great for an RPG. So hopefully that will be considered in the future. At number 4, Hatsune Miku. I think this one's a shoo-in for a Switch release, whether that be a port of an existing game or a brand new entry altogether. Now, going back to the 3DS, they had a Hatsune Miku game, but they went for a chibi art style, and when it comes to anime, I don't like chibi art styles, and I don't like them in video games. It's fine when you have a little bit of that mixed in with the actual, full-size characters, but when that's just the only art style throughout the whole game or through a whole anime, I'm not into it. So if they do a new entry on the Switch, I hope they just go with the traditional art style like they did for the Vita games and the PS4 games. The thing is, I suck at Hatsune Miku. I'm bad at rhythm games in general, but I really have a lot of fun with them, and I really enjoy Japanese pop, and that would be a fantastic game to have on the Switch. At number 3, Grand Theft Auto 5. I think out of all the games on this list, this one's probably the least likely to happen. Well, maybe the second least likely. We'll wait till we get to number 1. But, Rockstar and Nintendo doesn't have the best relationship in the world, and as far as Grand Theft Auto games go on Nintendo platforms, we've had some on their portable systems. With the Game Boy, they did I think it was a port of Grand Theft Auto 1 from the PS1 on that, and with the Game Boy Advance, they had a portable version of Grand Theft Auto 3. I think it was a portable version. It looked very similar to GTA 3. It had this kind of same UI. And with the DS, they did Chinatown Wars, and these were games that were specifically made around their portable systems, but we've never had a GTA game on consoles. There was supposed to be, I think, a port of GTA 3 on the GameCube or something like that, but that didn't happen. I think Grand Theft Auto 1 was supposed to come to the the N64, or that might have been Grand Theft Auto 2, and that didn't happen. So there's a rocky relationship there. There's some history there, but if they could ever work through those issues, Grand Theft Auto 5 would be a fantastic game to start out with from Rockstar on the Nintendo Switch. That would be huge, just having a Grand Theft Auto game, a full-scale Grand Theft Auto game on a Nintendo platform. That would be big. And I would like to see more from Rockstar, like Red Dead Redemption 2. I don't know how likely that is, which, none of this is really likely, but still, that would be pretty awesome. Alright, so at number 2, and this is one I don't think a lot of people know about, Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Missions. Now, this is a series of Dragon Ball games that's only in Japan, and it's only been on the 3DS. It started out as an arcade machine or an arcade game, and it still is an arcade game. And with the arcade game, you can buy these cards that you can use with the game. Kind of like a Yu-Gi-Oh style kind of deal where it's got this virtual board and you lay your cards down on it. Really cool. But the 3DS game is basically the same gameplay, you just don't use actual cards, but there are in-game cards that you use. And it's a turn-based card game. Now, that may not sound very appealing to some people. For me personally, I would prefer that style. Like going back to the Game Boy Color, I remember playing Dragon Ball Z Legendary Super Warriors quite a bit, and that was one of my favorite Dragon Ball Z games. And it was a turn-based game. It was turn-based combat, and it was a lot of fun. I don't really particularly care for the Xenoverse titles. I don't think the 3D fighting system really works well for a Dragon Ball game. It's too chaotic, and it's too unbalanced. There's a lot of camera issues, and they're just, I don't really care that much for them. I like the 2D games better, but Ultimate Heroes, or Dragon Ball Heroes Ultimate Missions, is full 3D. It runs on the Budokai 3 engine, and it has the biggest roster of any Dragon Ball Z game ever made. Even bigger than like current gen Xenoverse games. So it's really impressive. Now, if they made a new one on the Switch, I don't suspect it would get localized because the last two that came out have it, and there's one coming out this year for the 3DS, and I don't suspect that'll get localized either. But since the Switch isn't region locked, if they make one, I can import it, and that's good enough for me. I'll freaking learn to read Japanese just to play that game. That's how bad I want to play it. Alright, so at number 1, Metal Gear Solid: The Legacy Collection. And I really don't think this one's likely to happen, but I would be extremely grateful if it did. That to me would absolve Konami of all of their sins. Having Metal Gear Solid 1, 2, 3, and 4, and as well as Peace Walker brought to the Switch. You can do 5 as well, but I just care about the original 4 games. And maybe they could remaster the Twin Snakes. That would be freaking awesome as well. Have that game in widescreen, 60 frames per second. But just to have those main 4 games on the Switch where I can play them on the go, have them in their entirety, I would be ecstatic. Metal Gear is my favorite video game franchise of all time. The games that were made by Kojima, the main titles, those are masterpieces. So I would flip my lid if they would come to the Switch. I would parade around the street naked. I mean, I would just be that happy about it. It would be also cool if they could bring over some of the side games, like Metal Gear Ghost Babel, which was a Game Boy Color title. It would be cool if they could bring that to the Virtual Console. Maybe re-release the NES version of Metal Gear on the Virtual Console, as well as its American-only sequel, Snake's Revenge. That would be really awesome. I would be down with that. I would buy those in a heartbeat as well. But that's my list. Let me know what you guys would like to see on the Nintendo Switch. What games would you like to see ported over or get sequels or what have you on the Nintendo Switch? Leave your comments down below. Be sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more gaming news and gaming discussions from dorks like us. This is Foxhounder N313 signing off. God bless.